This is the Suzuki Swift, and it's a little bit like a Jack Russell Terrier because it's small, it's feisty, and it's fun, and it's less expensive than your cockapoos, which would be like a Volkswagen Polo. You see, this thing, it starts from just under £15,000. So this is the sport version, and it's actually £22,000. Good news is, though, you can save an average of £1,500 off a Suzuki Swift through carwow. In fact, if you're thinking about buying one of these, or any new car for that matter, click on the pop-out banner up there to go to carwow. Alternatively, after this video, you can just Google "Help Me Carwow," and me and my team will help you choose the right car for you and help you get it for a fair price from one of our trusted dealers.
Buying a new car? Then head to carwow, and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. Carwow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start off by talking about the Swift's design. So it's a boxy, compact, yet cute looking car. Now, this being the Sport, it is more aggressive looking with a deep rear bumper, and you've got twin exhaust pipes. And they're real exhaust pipes, not only a fake nonsense that you get on Volkswagens and Audis. Alloy wheels start at 16 inches for the standard car, though this Sport has 17 inches. That all important extra inch. You've also got some side skirts on the Sport, and it rides 50mm lower to the ground than the standard car. You can now get the Swift with two-tone paint. I like that, it really makes it stand out. Moving to the front, you get LED headlights as standard, and the Sport model gets this deeper front bumper, which does look pretty mean. The standard car is just a bit more like, hello, how you doing? Still, I like the look of both of them. It's quite a good looking car, I reckon. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, let's check out the inside. Ah, we've got an alarm going off because I've left the ignition on. Shut up. That's better. It does feel a little bit cheap in here. In fact, there's lots of hard, brittle, scratchy black plastics like a car from the 1990s. Look at this. It's a bit wobbly as well. I guess you get what you don't pay for. Still, I do like the design of it. It looks quite cool. And this Sport version with the red accents, they do help liven things up a bit. You've got some red stitching here as well, and Sport steering wheel and the Sport seats. Yeah, they're a little bit too body hugging. Now, I'm quite a slender guy, at least I'd like to think I am. If you're of a larger disposition, you are not going to be able to get in these seats. And if you do manage to squeeze yourself in, you probably won't be able to extract yourself. Shame really, because the seating position is bang on, and look, there's lots of headroom, so it doesn't matter if you're tall, and you can put the seat quite far back. So if you've got really long legs, you'll be fine. And you can move the steering wheel up and down quite a bit and in and out. So you actually can't move it in and out on the models lower down in the Swift range. Seems a bit mean. Now, all cars come with a 7-inch touchscreen as standard, and it's all right. It's quite simple to navigate through the different functions. It's a bit old looking though, and the graphics are a bit childish, and it's not the sharpest definition, and only the higher level models get sat-nav built in, though that doesn't matter because you get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as standard, and you're just going to hook that up instead. That's what I do. Then you just plug the USB in there, and oh look, there's even an old-fashioned auxiliary in if you want that. You've got 12-volt socket down here as well, and then that's where you've got your tray for your mobile phone, so you just stick your phone there really. Keep it out of the way. In terms of storage, it's okay. So you've got some cup holders here and here. You've got huge door bins. Check this out, right? Look, massive bottle will go in the door bin, and there's still some extra space. Can I fit another bottle in there as well? Look, that's really quite practical. Good job too, because the glove box is basically taken up by the manuals and stuff like that. Overall though, for a small car, it's reasonably practical. Let's check out the back seat, shall we? So you think this car is going to be really cramped in the rear because it's tiny on the outside, but no, it's actually surprisingly good. Headroom's fine, knee room is fine, there's plenty of space in the footwells. If you need to carry 3 people at once, it's going to be a squeeze because it's a narrow car, but it's not terrible because this middle seat is quite comfy, and those footwells are large, and there's not too much of a hump in the floor, so that is good. I'll tell you what's also good, these ISOFIX anchor points, they're quite easy to get to because they've got no covers, and there is a decent amount of room back here, and the doors open wide enough, which means that you don't really struggle too much, even when you're fitting one of those rear-facing bulky child seats. I'm impressed. To be fair, a Seat Ibiza is slightly larger in the back, and if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there. But I am really splitting hairs. Now, in terms of practicality, you do have, look, a little cup holder there, which people can fight over. There are some other door bin cup holders there, but you can only fit one item in them. Well, one bottle in them. I like this, look, rear windows go all the way down, which is quite unusual these days. Most kids are just on their iPads, aren't they? They don't look out the window anymore. Impressed! Ow! Apart from that, The roof, this is one thing to note, the roof does curve in. So if you do have 3 people in the back, you are likely to end up, if you're in the out seats, hitting your head off the roof like that. Or if you're bouncing around in the back of the car like some idiot car reviewer, you might smack your head off there on camera. Embarrassing. Okay, let's talk about the boot. So in terms of the load capacity, you have 265 litres. As a comparison, a Skoda Fabia has 330 litres. And if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can watch my full in-depth video review of that car. Anyway, back to this boot. At least it's a nice square shape, so you can squeeze in 4 airplane-size carry-on luggage cases. Thing is though, there's a huge load lip for you to lift stuff over. Oh, which is a bit annoying. What's also annoying is you think, oh, look, I'm gonna have a spare wheel under here. No, you don't. You actually just get the car standard with tyre sealant. In fact, this car is devoid of features in the boot. There is just one hook. That's it. That's the only feature in the boot. That's your lot. Nothing else. Obviously, if you need to carry larger items, you can fold down the rear seats and they split 60-40. But then you have a huge ridge here, which means that if you're loading really heavy items in it, then you're gonna, oh God, find it a nightmare to push them all the way to the front. And that brings me on to 5 annoying things about the Suzuki Swift. This car is not great for armrest here in the front, so while the one on the door does have a fabric covering, there's 0 padding, so you end up with an achy elbow, and then there's not one at all in the centre, so you're like, ah! While it's awesome that Suzuki gives all versions of the Swift a reversing camera, the field of view is pretty limited, and the definition is quite frankly. I like the fact that the vanity mirrors are huge, which is ideal if you've got a big head like me. It's annoying that they don't have any illumination, so you can't check yourself out when it's dark. I'm so vain, I probably think this video's about me. This load cover is just so cheap and flimsy, and look at it. And there's nowhere to store it underneath the boot floor, so you're gonna have to just lay it in there. You put stuff on it and then it'd just be damaged, so you know what I'm gonna do. All the cubby holes where you'd put stuff, like there, maybe the cup holder, or there, is hard brittle plastic that's very shiny and slippy, and it has no gripper effect on it, so everything just rattles around when you're driving and it makes you f***ing angry.
Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5.
This little piece of plastic there stops the seat belt from sliding off the seat like that when you fold them down, so it doesn't end up going behind and getting caught. Well done, Suzuki. You don't have to wind a ratchet to alter the seat back. You just pull up a lever and move it into the position you want. So if you need to suddenly go to sleep, just do it quick. Look. Good night. The sport model of the Swift not only gets some red dials, it also gets some extra screens on this little display in between the 2 dials. So you get a G-force meter, you get torque and power meter for the engine, you also get acceleration and brake graphs, and turbo boost gauge. Suzuki has shortened the throw of the manual gearbox by 10% and improved the synchromesh so it seems even more snickety. The sport version of the Swift not only gets lowered stiff and sport suspension, beefier anti-roll bars, stronger, more powerful brakes, but it also has a radiator that's 30% larger than on the normal Swift for improved engine cooling. That brings me on to the engine choices, and this is going to be dead Swift, haha. Because there's only 2 choices available with the Swift, a 1.2 litre or a 1.4 litre turbo, which is what this car has. So the 1.2 has 83 horsepower and gets from 0 to 60 in 12 seconds, which is a bit sedate. This 1.4 has 129 horsepower. Can I get this out? Yep. And it can go from 0 to 60 in just over 9 seconds, which is better. Big news on these engines though is that they're both mild hybrid, so they have a beefier starter motor, which can not only start the car, but can provide a little bit of extra shove when you're driving to help improve the emissions. Now, as standard, the car gets a 5-speed manual gearbox, which is a bit old-fashioned, but you can get it with an automatic gearbox. This Swift Sport, though, has a 6-speed manual as standard. Now, the car is front-wheel drive, like most hatchbacks. However, you can get the SZ5, which is the trim level below the Sport, with all-wheel drive, which is pretty unique for this kind of car. Okay then, let's see what this little Suzuki Swift is like in town. While being small, it's dead easy to drive. The steering is fairly light, the pedals are light as well. The brakes aren't too jerky. The gear shift is smooth, though it does have a bit of a mechanical feel to it. However, I like that. Visibility is quite good. And it's a fairly manoeuvrable car, so I've got an awkward mini roundabout to do here where I've got to try and get round and there's this lorry pointing out, see if I can do it. More of a problem for the car in front of me. There we go, look at this. Loads of steering lock, there's absolutely loads of it. We'll get around there, don't you worry matey boy. Yeah, look at that. So easy. One thing I do notice is that you feel the bumps a little bit in this car. It's worse in this version because it's the Sport, so it's got stiffened suspension. But anyway, it gets a bit better when you're going quicker. But compared to some other small cars, it is a bit on the firm side, so just beware of that. It's dead easy to park though, really easy. It's the great thing about small cars like this. The only problem is that when you're looking over your shoulder, there is a bit of a blind spot in that rear 3/4 because of that huge back pillar. Okay, let's see what this little Swift is like when you get out onto faster roads such as dual carriageways and motorways. It's actually all right. One thing you do notice though is that when you're going at higher speeds, you do get quite a bit of noise from the tyres and a bit of wind noise. So all you do is turn up the stereo and try and pretend they're not really there. Also, being a light car, when you've got big crosswinds, it does weave about a little bit in lane, so you have to hold onto the steering wheel a bit, but it's actually okay. To be fair though, if you want a car to do lots of motorway miles in, small car, you're going to be better off with something like a Volkswagen Polo. And if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can watch my full in-depth video review of that car. One thing I should say about this Swift though is that you can get it with the adaptive cruise control, which will keep you a safe distance from the car in front, which is handy. Let's see what this little Swift is like now on a twisty road. Being such a light car really pays off here because it's just so chuckable. It's quite a responsive little thing and it grips onto the road so well. That's even more so with this Sport version with its sportier suspension setup. It is a good, fun little car. Not quite as much fun as a Ford Fiesta. It doesn't have quite as much balance or poise. And in fact, if you click on the pop-out banner up there, you can watch my full in-depth video review of that car. But it's still a bit of a laugh, even the normal versions. The only thing that's a bit weird is the steering. It's almost like there's a spring in between the steering wheel and the wheels because there's like a certain springiness to it. Still. This car doesn't leave much in the bends, it's got enough grip and you can tell when the tyres start to let go, which is good. So if you're hooning around, you know when you should be backing off. I quite like it. It's fun, it's cheeky and it's cute. So then, what's my final verdict on the Suzuki Swift? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should consider the Swift. It may be cheap, but it's still pretty cheerful. Hope you'll enjoy the video. If you did, please give it a like. If you'd like to see my video review of the Toyota Yaris, click there or down there for my review of the Hyundai i20. And if you click on that box there, you can go to Carwow to see how much money you can save on a new car. Thanks for watching.